Hey, what's up, everybody? This is ExtraNormal Podcast. We're going to be talking about parallel universes. Is this the real us, or is this a different us? Which us is this?
The best us.
We're always the best us. Hey, what's up, everybody? This is ExtraNormal Podcast. My name is Chris. Alongside me is my wife, Brianna.
Hey, how's everybody going? We're on day 600 and too many days of quarantine.
Yeah,
no,
who
like
knows?
60.
Who
60
knows?
something.
Who cares at this point? Really? Who cares? This is the new normal, and I can get used to it for sure.
Hey, as long as those unemployment checks keep coming to keep us alive, we'll be
Keep us floating.
We'll be okay.
Yeah, so speaking of different situations, what if this is just one of our situations and we live in a parallel universe?
I think it's such a cool idea. And
Yeah,
I honestly think that it could be real.
It could be real. So we're going to be talking about that. The reason why we're bringing this up is because fresh off the presses, there was an article. And there's many articles that surfaced from this, but there was a bunch of articles written about a research paper about the possibility of parallel universes found by NASA, which is makes it legitimizes it a little bit, that they're not saying it is, but they're saying it's a possibility for sure.
It's kind of trippy that, we're going through this pandemic and everything. And why now? In a couple podcasts ago, they're talking about, oh yeah, UFOs. They're announcing all this stuff. And there's possibility, I want to say paranormal. Parallel universes. It's why all of a sudden? Are they just trying to make us think about other things?
I don't think from NASA's perspective, I don't think that they're... Because in terms of government conspiracies and hiding things, I think they're low level. We're going to hide shit up. They're not Men in Black. So I think that this actually came out 6 weeks ago. So it was technically during the pandemic, but at least in the U.S. quarantine. But I think they let it out. But I think the exciting part is that they don't know. So what it is we did some digging, a little bit of digging on it.
And let's clarify, I really try to learn quantum physics, and I'm really not wired that way. I watched videos to try to break it down. I've read articles, and it's I wanna know the ability, but a lot of it just I'll be completely honest, it's over here.
So you're saying that you didn't learn quantum physics in a week? That blew past you? Yeah, no, most of this stuff, and again, neither one of us are scientists, so there's a lot of this stuff. Once they started, I looked at the source material, the NASA, peer research journal entries or whatever. Ooh, once they started getting into equations and stuff like that,
man.
I'm done.
When they get, mathematical,
No. Yeah, no, it's, yeah.
I'm really interested. Yeah, let's hear it.
But essentially what happened was that these scientists, part of NASA, were and again, I apologize to all your audience who realize that I'm butchering it. Yeah. But they essentially, scientists in Antarctica actually were researching how particles, I think they are called neutrinos, come down from space and kind of collide into ice and this sort. Using Anitas to measure this, which are essentially fancy balloons, and they noticed that essentially these tau neutrons, as they called it, were emerging from the ice. So essentially they were going backwards. And and what NASA is saying officially is they can't figure it out. They don't know why, because the mass of the Earth should the Earth's mass should stop these tau neutrons from coming upwards. So
right.
One of the theories that they posited, I don't even know if they posited, they just said we don't know what it is, but some people, I believe, have caught wind of this and kind of developed their own theories, is that it's actually a parallel universe that's going backwards.
Which, like, for me, like, I totally believe that. Like, I believe in other, like, we've talked about wormholes in different dimensions. And I feel like that's all, you know, it kind of comes, like, together, like, in a sense. So, like, for instance, like, I don't even know if he remembers this, but we were in visiting some of his family in England. This was, like, way before kids, like, God, 10, 11 years ago. And I remember distinctly, you know, we were just, like, out exploring. I think we were in, like, Piccadilly Square in London. And out of the blue, this guy comes up to me kind of aggressively, and he's speaking Italian, and he's talking to me. Do you remember this?
No.
He was calling me a different name, and I just remember being kind of like, no. I felt bad because I don't speak Italian, even though I am Italian. But he kept like he, for sure, whoever he thought I was, he knew me, and it made me so, like, the whole situation was super weird. And I kept saying, no, I'm not Annabella or Isabella, whoever. He kept calling me, and it was almost like he wasn't gonna let me go because I was this person.
He was a senile old man.
No. So for me, like, there you go, parallel universes. One of this man knew me in another parallel, and he, for whatever reason, he was crossing over, and he ended up, because there's so many stories where that happens. You enter another parallel universe.
So yeah, I mean, it's probably a senile old man, but you could have had a parallel universe visitor, maybe. I don't want to shoot you down too much, but I don't know. I
wish I could get in that guy's head.
I don't know. So, yeah, this article essentially opens a possibility, at least. It kind of almost, it validates, so what this article does, it validates the scientific theorem that parallel universes might exist. It's not just a thing of comic books. And it doesn't, I don't think it proves it. I think it definitely opens up, because there's always been theorems that in the multiverse and that these parallel universes might exist, but this kind of is a piece of evidence that goes possibly towards it. I don't think it's conclusive, but I think it's very interesting because it could open up that.
Yeah.
So,
like, the little bit, you know, that I know about this, or what I've heard, the hearsay, is basically like everything you choose to do, like, in your life takes you to your parallel. So say, like, something that you did very dramatically in this life that could affect your other parallel universe. And they say that everybody around you, like, let's take, like, my daughter, for instance, everybody around you is somebody that was in your parallel life. So, like, my daughter could have been my best friend, or she could have been my mother, or my sister, you know, and I think of it as weird, but that could be the parallel.
Well, they say also, so I don't think, the thing with this too is that we were looking at some stuff, and I think that most astrophysicists do not deny the existence of multiverses as they describe it, where there's multiple different, essentially universal ecosystems that exist other than what we know of, you know. And some of it's, you know, some of the theories are that it's, you know, there's different pockets that essentially expanded at different times in the universe after the Big Bang. Like, the Big Bang is not one. I mean, obviously it was a giant event, but there was multiple events after that, and that kind of created these different pockets of universe.
Don't they even say that there is a possibility that there's actually more than one Big Bang that had occurred? So
yeah, so the Big Bang, a lot of the scientists posit that the Big Bang was a starting point, and there was other essentially Big Bangs that happened after that. And one of the theories is that, and this is kind of getting into quantum physics, that is a little bit above our heads, but why not? Who cares? Who the fuck cares? We're all in quarantine. Let's all imagine. One of the theories is that we live in multiple dimensions, and there's parallel universes here. And actually, one of the theories that is posited, and I think it's highly debated, and it's highly controversial in the community, but that every choice that everybody makes creates two parallel universes. and that there's these multiple different time strands, essentially. So that thinking about how many choices we all make on a daily basis, like how many different
and think
us's are
about
there?
think about deja vu. Like, you know, I know not everybody, but a lot of people have deja vu.
I have a lot of deja vu.
And that can totally
Ton of
be,
it.
you know, I've been here before. Is that you tapping into your parallel universe? Like, it's so trippy and it's so amazing. And you know, like, didn't mean to cut in, but like, I want to get into some of our stories too that we have of actual. I mean, I don't want to say evidence, but these are documents of people that have
there's been
had
a
these
lot of-
experiences.
Yeah, there's actually been a lot of like people who have experienced it. I don't know their validity, but there's been a lot of people, and you'll get into some of these stories specifically. But there's been a lot of people who have at least stated that they've experienced these parallel universes, that they've either been visited by someone from another universe, or they've gone themselves, that sort of thing. And there's some stuff that, you know, in terms of like the time travelers. I'm a time traveler thing. Some of these people say that they use parallel universes to get here.
Yeah, I think the only thing that my biggest question is like, why do we have more than one parallel? Like, why do we need more than one parallel? And it starts to get me thinking about like Hinduism, from what I've learned from my friends that are Hindu. You know, they believe in reincarnation. Well, maybe something with reincarnation is actually a parallel.
Yeah, maybe. Here's the thing with parallel universes, is that I think that part of me is like freaked out by that, because I think there's I don't know if is there ever a rhyme or reason for science? Science just kind of exists, you know. It's just, it is what it is, and us. The thing is, we don't create the answers. Sometimes we create the questions that sometimes give us the answers, but the answers are just out there, you know. Not to get too X-Files but you know, it's just us trying to find. And the thing that, to be honest with you, it kind of almost fucking freaks me out to no end that if the kind of the theory of like there being, like, if you make a choice, there's another you that sprouts up out of your choice, like, that fucking freaks me out, because this is wide open. What version am I of myself?
Well, the weird thing about like when I've done my research about the parallels is like you never see yourself. So when you're entering your parallel, like, it's usually you as you going into the parallel. You're never running into your actual self.
No, and that's one of the things that some of the science videos we watch is that even if the theory of parallel universes can be proven, you're never going to see like a full picture. It's never going to like come like beautiful mind to you, and you're going to see all the versions of you and everything. Right. We're just going to know that it's probably a valid theorem. You know, we're never going to... And guys, that's why choices are so important these days, is that you can only experience the path that you choose.
Well, isn't it funny? Like, were we just watching that show?
I don't
like,
fucking
what
know.
was that show with Kimmy?
Kimmy Schmidt?
Yeah, where like, so there's this like what do they call that? Like
it's like a choose your own adventure.
Yeah. So you choose like what you want her to say. It's like those video games that do that as well. And it, you know, if you choose the like more angry, more aggressive, it's going to take you in another dimension. And then if you choose the more peaceful, it's going to take you in this parallel. So I think that also ties in, like, it's like we know it like subconsciously without even knowing it, that's a possibility.
Here's the thing too, is that I'm sure I believe in my heart of hearts that you're going to get into the fact that you believe aliens are coming from parallel universes. I don't think that's a surprise to anybody. But if aliens are coming from parallel universes, essentially by them going to our universe, they're changing their parallel universe. Like, everything's shifting.
I mean, and you know, we talk about like time travel. Like, they've been talking about time travel for how many...
Ever since like, Back to the Future, they've been talking about time travel.
If you start doing the Marty voice, I'm going to fucking kill you.
Marty!
So.
I'm not going to. Marty! No, I'm not going to. I can't.
Like, maybe... that's something that has to do with parallel. But yeah, maybe extraterrestrials, I mean, maybe they see us, humanity, killing ourselves, and maybe for whatever reason. If they are our ancestors, like a lot of stories say that they are, they could be coming back in time from a parallel to maybe save us. It's a possibility.
To save us?
Yeah. Because, I mean,
Why would
global
they?
warming. We got all those cows farting too much.
You found out. This is a tangent number. This is tangent. I'm going to say it's tangent number 1, but it's probably tangent number 455. You found out that 14.5%, because we were watching Netflix documentaries, you found out that 14.5% of methane that's pumped into the earth.
I didn't believe it.
That heats
I
up
didn't believe it. I was like,
the
fuck
earth.
you, you're lying. And then I was like,
Cow
oh my
farts.
God, disgusting.
Cow farts. Because we eat a lot of beef. We eat a lot of
You
beef.
speak for yourself.
I don't eat too much beef anymore.
Anymore.
I did
Probably
eat a lot
because
of
I
beef.
never buy meat for the house.
I don't either.
Anyways, I want to get into this amazing
That was a
story.
tangent that was a dead end.
I have heard this this story, and this is actual documented evidence from Tokyo, Japan. And I've heard it multiple times, and I'm really excited to tell this story. Yes, I will say the first time I heard it was on Ancient Aliens. Okay, I'm going to just
drink, everybody, for the
throw it out
drinking game.
there.
Drink. Everybody drink.
But I've also heard it from other like places as well. So so this story is called The Man of Taured, maybe Taured, however you want to pronounce it. Don't give a fuck. So I can spell it for you later if you like. Anyways, in July of 1954, a man, he was walking through the airport, stopped at customs because he looked frightened. He looked kind of freaked out. Like he was like looking around kind of like, he kind of like didn't know where he was. Like everything looked familiar, but it didn't. So, you know, like one of the officers in customs like saw him and was like, okay, this guy's kind of being shady. Why is he acting like that? So they took him aside, you know, they started questioning him in the Tokyo airport. And while he was interviewed, his native tongue was French, but he spoke fluent Japanese. And then when they asked where he was from, he said Taured. But they had never heard of this place, and they were just kind of like, is this guy giving us a runaround? Like, I want to see some documents. So they brought out a map, and they were like, show us exactly where you're from. And they brought out the map, and the guy was kind of dumbfounded because he was like, wait, like, I should be right here on the map, but I'm not. So basically,
That's Glendale, sir.
So basically, Taured is supposed to be in between Spain and France. But on the map in 1954, it was not there, and the guy was so confused. He was getting upset because he's like,
well,
my country has been there for thousands of years, so this is a place that's been there.
Oh,
and so
that was my explanation. I thought he was like, he
no,
lived in a Taured.
So here's
big and tall hot
here's
topic.
the
No?
freakiest part.
No.
So they were like, okay, we need to see documents.
Nothing.
Here we go. So he brings out his passport. And he opens his passport, and where does it say he's from? Taured, whatever.
He's from inside of a Taured.
So
I miss those stories. Are Taured still around? The big and tall hot topic?
The big and tall.
I don't know how to describe it, but it's it's the hot topic.
It's what?
Taured.
Go ahead and say it.
The big and tall hot topic, I think. It's like that equivalent, like of people who don't fit into the sizes that are offered at Hot Topic.
He did that very nice.
Yeah, I like Taured. Taured's okay. I just didn't know whether they still existed.
So anyway, so they decided to further investigate this man, and you know the man was
This guy.
So the man also was kind of like, yeah, like I need to go on my way, and they said he was dressed very nice, business attire. So they got him in the airport, like a hotel, like I think they said it was like one of the highest floors. I want to say like the 5th floor, whatever, back then. And so he stayed in
What
the
year
hotel.
was this? Sorry to cut you off.
1954.
Okay.
So
that makes sense. 5th floor.
So they put him in there, and I guess they had a couple guards to make sure he didn't get out until they can further investigate, question him, because everybody was kind of like just baffled. So they wanted to bring probably some kind of their government or something in there to kind of be like, what's going on with this dude? So either later on that night, because I've heard like 2 different stories. I've heard like how like telephone. So either that night
I've heard of
when they
telephone.
further investigated, or in the morning, when they knocked on the door, nobody answered. They've at one point just broke in the room. He was gone. His documents were gone. Because I thought, well, maybe like if he entered back to his parallel universe, he would have left something behind. Everything was gone. And to me, like, it was wild. Like, that was like just
Sounds wild.
So wild. And knowing that like the story is like actually pretty popular, more, I've heard it like from more than one source. I'm really excited about it. And I was like, oh, I wish they would have taken a picture or some kind of evidence, or what if they had his passport, and what is this Taured place? How come we don't know about it?
Was this an older man?
I don't know. From what I'm guessing, I want to say like probably early 40s, like mid to late 40s. But to me, I'm like, I want to know so much more. But I think dealing with a circumstance like that, I'm sure the Japanese government was just kind of like, how do you even handle that? Yeah, Tokyo.
Yeah.
So I was really excited to share that story because I had heard it before.
You've been waiting. You've had that in a canister. You're like, when is this parallel universe
and then
episode coming out?
Yeah, I started bringing back like that situation I had in London, and and I just kind of like it's insane. So, anything you want to add to that?
No, I have nothing to add to that. It sounds goofy.
Fuck you. Why?
The man sounds insane. But he might be from a
No, why is
Taured.
the man insane?
He
And he
sounds
disappeared.
crazy.
Well, and that's another thing. So there has been other situations where there was a woman who swore she like had a situation like similar, and they said she was crazy. She had to go to therapy and stuff like that. So there are those cases where you wonder, was she really mentally unstable, or did she enter a parallel universe?
I think that sounds probably, I don't know, that sounds fairly valid. I think a lot of the people who say they're from parallel universes are probably, have some mental disorder.
Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
Yeah, because it's pretty easy to claim you're from parallel universe, but that's weird.
But can you imagine, like say that I had a situation like that, and I really did enter one, and then I came back. I feel like nobody would believe me. I feel like I would be incarcerated. Like,
oh yeah.
And it just sucks to know that you're living with that you visited your parallel, or say
you lived your truth, and
what if it was my
cut you
parallel from another universe that came here? Because there was this one situation where it was like a woman. She was laying in bed with her husband, and her phone starts to go off. And it's a text message, and it's from her husband, and her husband's laying right next to her, and she's like, what? Like, and so she reads it, and she totally thought somebody was messing with her. His phone's not going off at all, and it's somebody saying like, do I know you? And at first she thought, oh, maybe he texted me that earlier and he was joking around or being silly, because we do that to each other.
Yeah.
Come to find out the guy's like, like I have this name in my phone, and I just can't figure out who it is. And he's like, this is what's crazy. He says, I have this number under Wi-Fi. So the husband calls his wife, instead of wifey, it's Wi-Fi. And there's a heart. And he said, I have you under Wi-Fi, and there's a heart next to it. And he's like, I'm just trying to figure out who you are and where do you live. And she's like, I'm not going to tell you where I live. She tells him to stay. He's like, well, I live in that street too. And then he's like, well, I live on this street. It's the same street that she lives on. And so it's
sounds like an urban legend. I don't think the Japanese man that story sounded kind of creepy.
Yeah.
Sounds like sounds like an urban, like
you
let's
guys have
make
to
this shit up on the internet.
I don't know. It's kind of
cool.
The Wi-Fi thing is kind of like crazy.
Tangent number 475. What was that when we first moved in? You remember that weird situation? Where my music started going off and the alarms to the cars started going off all at the same time?
Yeah. But I felt like that was my grandma visiting, because my grandma had just passed away.
We'll save that for our ghost. Let's save that for episode number I hope someone's writing this down because I am not. Episode 106.
People did have called us out on episodes that we were supposed to do. But we did cover them after they called us out.
Well, whatever. Let's save this one. Let's give ourselves some cushion. Let's save this for episode 116. Relatives visiting. And if we get enough stories that come our way, maybe it'll be bumped up. But let's bookmark an episode where we talk about relatives visiting recently after being deceased.
Okay, sure.
Do you think that? Because you thought that your grandma visited you a few times shortly after she deceased.
Well, and here's another thing I don't know if it ties in with this or if it counteracts it. For me, it kind of opened up more possibilities of how many parallels we have. But some of the stories that I read about these parallels, there's just so many, and it was just so overwhelming to absorb all of the information. But they were saying kind of basically like when you die, you're not really dead. You're in another parallel.
That's what I was going to ask you. Do you think that there's parallel universes? So do you think So
you might be dead here, but then you're alive somewhere else.
Is that a ghost thing too?
I mean, we all we know is that
stuck.
Ghosts, they could be parallel. They could come and visit, but because they're deceased here, maybe that's why we can't see them when we feel the coldness around us, or somebody like touching us, or lights flickering. Like maybe it's this person visiting from a parallel, and they can't physically touch things, but they can maybe use their energy with electricity and whatnot.
So being a non-scientist, I'm going to float this out there. So part of the NASA thing that they discovered is that one of the things they thought maybe, and the people ran with it, I think that they were like, we don't know what this is, but the idea of the neutrinos coming up, instead of coming from space, coming up from the ice, is that time in this parallel universe, time is backwards, as we would comprehend it. It's backwards. What if these ghosts are essentially time going backwards? Like, you're essentially your grandmother visiting you is actually your grandmother visiting you from 2 weeks before she passed on, sending a message.
But because the problem with that theory, and I'm not saying that it's wrong, because like
you're poo-pooing my made-up theory. I made this up, and
because to me, I'm like thinking about when I'm hearing these other parallels, like the guy of Taured that I had just talked about. They physically saw him. He was as physically here as you and I are right now. So for me, I'm like, to me that like physical thing would make more sense. But I know there are spirits, we don't call them ghosts, that people have physically seen.
You keep telling me that, but
you don't care.
I don't think they care. It's all I mean, conjecture. If I don't think that there's a ghost spirit PR team, and there's a helicopter flying around us. Maybe they're looking for us, talking about parallel universes. They're onto us, everybody. Men in Black.
I know, I heard the police a little while ago too.
What would you do if the Men in Black came knocking on your door?
Well, the thing is, like, of course, at first I would be like excited,
You're
like
stop the podcast.
I would be fangirling, but at the same time, I heard that the Men in Black is not like fucking Will Smith. I heard that they're dicks, so I would be a little like.
It's hard to be as charming as Will Smith.
That's true.
Not very many.
Especially when you got a theme song to go with it.
Mm-hmm.
We are Men in Black.
Do you think they have? Tangent. Do you think Men in Black have memory, like erasers, like the movie, like the? Mm-hmm. Do you think so?
Yeah, but see, that's another thing too, like that bothers me, like with quantum physics and stuff like that, because they say we only use.
What bothers you about quantum physics? What's your gripe with quantum physics?
I feel like because I'm mad because I don't get it. I can't.
None of us.
I can't mentally grasp. No, there's definitely people that can grasp it on another level, and I'm frustrated with myself because I try to make myself like understand, and it's like this spiral in my head. Like I just can't focus, and so I'm mad because I feel like government conspiracies, Men in Black, like because I'm so open to like paranormal, extraterrestrials, all that stuff. Like I feel like, God, if I just like could understand quantum physics, I could really break it down for us, and I could be like, Eureka, I know the answers, and I
Well,
feel
the thing
like
with quantum physics-
they're keeping. Why do we only use one side of our brain? Like they're keeping us here when we should be here.
Well, I think quantum physics. The thing with quantum physics, one reason why it's so hard is because it's not. So like, you could memorize like with biology, especially like early on, you can memorize like what a dolphin is and what kind of mammal is a dolphin and what do they eat and all that stuff. But once you get to the amount of mental gymnastics you have to do, because quantum physics is a theory that is hard to see out in real life. You know, if you can get the equations, you could kind of play it out in your real life. But it's not like I'm memorizing that 2 + 2 = 4 or
Right.
these animals have these certain characteristics. It's such mental gymnastics that I admire the people who can do it. I admire those NASA people who are.
But
trying
you
to
are
figure
not
out.
one of them.
I am not. I am just an average dumbbell. Just trying to get some conspiracy theories in so I can giggle at them.
Okay, so I would like to go into my next story.
Go for it. Yeah, no, you have the floor, ma'am.
Okay, thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it.
That was real formal.
Anyways, so okay.
I got a green
All
cap.
right. First of all, the story's coming from Arkansas. No offense if anybody's listening, watching, because we're doing live right now. If you're from there, I'm not trying to say you're a hillbilly or redneck or your story is not relevant.
Let me see.
But
can I say to
just
the people
going
of
into it.
Arkansas, I am sorry. There's actually, I think
my mom's
there's
husband's from
Is it
isn't-
Alabama?
isn't-
I think Alabama definitely, and maybe Arkansas has a lot of like.
incest? Sorry.
They have a lot of like aerospace companies and stuff like that. In Birmingham, I know for sure in Birmingham, there's some real smart people. So please.
Well, good. Then that just makes I honestly thought like
Birmingham is not in Arkansas, just to be clear. I'm not confusing it.
we're
I'm
from
saying in
fucking
Alabama, I think maybe
California.
Arkansas.
Like we're not like
We're not southern idiots. We're surf idiots.
yes, but I'm just saying like
We're
there's
sunshine idiots.
they probably look at us one way and we look at them another way. Whatever.
100%.
I just knew it just would embarrass me talking about Arkansas. Like I don't know why. Like see, and that's sad. Like why do I
It is
feel that
sad.
way?
I'm
Like that's
sad.
so judgmental. I apologize. I'm judgmental, as we all are.
We should do an Arkansas episode to apologize, to make up for your...
Wait, aren't those the cat show? Aren't they from there?
The cat show.
You
talking about...
Carol Bassett.
You talking about...
Are they from there?
No.
I mean,
I think they're from Oklahoma.
and how far is that from?
It's not that far. It's not that far, but it's not the same place.
I'm sorry.
Okay, hold on. To the people of Arkansas, I apologize. To Tiger King, what's his name? What's Tiger King's name?
I don't know.
Joe Exotic. To
But
Joe Exotic, if
I
you're
love
listening,
him.
I'm sorry.
I love him so
Listen.
much.
Welcome. Yeah. Anyways, go ahead.
Okay, so this is a pretty interesting story. He's gonna give us our opinion anyways if he thinks it's an urban legend. So, 2 boys.
Urban legend. Go ahead.
They liked
Boys make up shit all the time.
where they lived. Well, I always like it when it's more than one person because it's just like proof. Like when I saw whatever I saw in the sky, I'm glad that there was more than just me because I know people are like, you're on something or whatever. You're mentally unstable.
That's not how I sound.
No, I'm just talking about people in general.
I know.
You know how the voices they do for you. So anyway, where they lived, it was like typical Arkansas. They lived, kind of in the boonies, away from. Stop laughing.
You know, Arkansas is in the middle of the boonies.
Well, so it was like their hometown basically, like they wanted to live in seclusion. This is actually said in the story, like the mom like wanted to be kind of away from the town where everybody was. So they were like, I believe like, I don't know, like an hour away from everybody where they would go grocery shopping in the actual town.
Big city.
See, now he does it and it's okay.
I have some family.
But when I
from
do
the
it,
South. Does that count?
oh, and they're
Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. We've already had to apologize for Arkansas. Please don't have to apologize for Tennessee and Indiana.
Your family members.
If anybody's seen the series Justified, that takes some place in a hillbilly area called Harlan County. That's where my grandpappy's from, so...
I can tell you stories about that situation.
Please don't.
Yeah, like...
We'll get into that in a different theme.
So these two boys, they like to venture. They like to go on hikes. They like to explore. And everywhere they live, just imagine like kind of gravel stone. Nothing was like concrete. New roads. This is what the story said.
I know. I'm just loving it now.
Oh my god.
Go ahead. You only had one horse to get to town, and then...
I didn't say it. So,
pissed in a bucket.
I like mountain music. So they decided to go on a little adventure, and they're walking, looking for a new path, and they see like a new paved road, and they're kind of like, "Whoa!" Like trip out, like let's go down this new road. Of course,
Can you do it in the Keanu Reeves voice? The whoa. Back up a few. Whoa. And they were like, whoa.
He had a hard life.
He did.
See, I'm offended now.
I would like Keanu. I would like to
meet
meet
Keanu. When we talk about
Keanu
Keanu Reeves, I get offended.
Okay.
Just as the people of Arkansas.
I love Keanu Reeves.
Because you don't understand what he's been
He's
through.
awesome. I listen, he's had a hard life.
Like, now he's getting
Sorry, Keanu. Sorry, Arkansas. Sorry, Keanu Reeves.
And so they see this new paved road, which they were just like, well, we have to go down this road because nothing...
it's paved.
We've never seen this before.
Someone paved this road. Oh, Lord, look at Mama, they paved this road.
They decided to...
Must be fancy.
Y'all come back now.
Well, say goodbye to our listeners in Arkansas. It was nice to know you.
So they go, and as soon as they enter, this is what's fucking crazy. So as soon as they enter the road, first steps on this new paved road, the temperature goes down about 5, so it gets a little bit colder, which is already like, whoa. And so they start walking, and they notice
these paved roads got air conditioning. How nice!
So they notice that there's these big giant redwoods, and I guess that's not like typical for the trees that they have. Like they don't have that in their state at all, that they've seen at least.
Got it. It was a different.
So they were kind of like, and they looked slightly different than a typical redwood. I think they said they were a little bit shorter. But just imagine like walking to this like new element. And in the story it says that they walked about like 3 miles, and then they decided like, okay, like, you know, it's time to go back, but they wanted to come back and venture even more tomorrow. So the next day and when they walked back, and that same point when they exited right back to their not paved roads, their gravel roads, they realized the temperature went back up, like, so it changed again. So like for me, I totally believe they walked into a parallel, like a new dimension. So the next day they're like, okay, yeah, let's go adventure again. So around 12 o'clock they go out to do this all over again. So they're walking down their gravel stone and they look outside, or they look around them, and they can't find this place, and they said they knew it was right here, and there's a bunch of like their old trees like blocking, and so they try to like kind of explore and go around. Nothing, no redwood, no new paved roads, and they were just like baffled by the whole thing. So they went and talked to their mom and dad, and they said, hey, like, was there a new paved road that was, and they were just like,
what's a paved road?
Fucking A. They were just like, we don't get none there.
No, stop it. Please stop it. I've already done it. I've gone too far.
So yeah, they were just like, no, like there's no new dirt or no paved roads that have been here, like that they've known of, that they've seen, that they've even heard, because literally everything. And it wouldn't make sense. Why would they make this one? I mean, unless it was like a highway, you know. I doubt that they were close to a freeway over there. So it left them really, and then they never had that experience again. And
where was this? What year was this again? I know it was Arkansas.
I think it was like about 4 years ago.
4 years ago?
Yeah.
Hold on.
Some of these stories are very recent.
Hold on. There's a place in Arkansas where they don't have paved. There's an area in the U.S. where they don't have paved roads. I'm parallel universes.
Okay.
Be damned. I don't give a shit about those anymore.
I think all of us
There's
that
areas-
are listening and watching right now know that, like, look at the way Joe Exotic lived his life. We didn't. That's
There
a
wasn't
parallel.
a lot of paved roads.
That is a parallel to me that there's a human that lived a life like that. So, like, come on.
Yeah.
Anything's
I
possible.
I hear you, but
And I believe. Okay, he's
can
not.
we go to
remembering.
that part of
No.
Arkansas?
It kind of slightly reminded me of, if you remember when we went to Oregon and we decided to go camping.
Oh.
Dirt roads. Mm-hmm. Dirt roads. You go back there.
Let's get off into a tangent because I really want to talk about this story because it doesn't. Parallel universes, who cares? We're living in the now, everybody. We went on a vacation to Oregon and I was so excited. I booked it. I booked this. It was off this site called Hip Camp. And they offer cool camping, like, fun camping. I was like, we're in Oregon.
Organic, like, remember, like, they're, like, in
The
harvest.
site and everything, like, it's like, I was like, we're in Oregon. Like, we got to go do Hip Camp. Like, we got to book off a Hip Camp because they probably have kombucha, like, off the taps. Like, they probably have a waterfall of kombucha.
AKA, they probably eat you and are probably cannibals.
Hey, don't jump the lead. So we booked this site, and it said like, oh, we have, like, it's a farm and, like, it's a community and it's like a bed and breakfast type of thing. And you get to sleep in teepees and everything looked cool in the pictures. And they're like, oh, like, you can pet goats. And so I called them. I was like, hey, is it okay we have a little, at that time it was 4-year-old or whatever. We have a little one. Like, is it okay if she comes along too? Like, yeah, sure, bring her along. It's family friendly. Oh, yeah, she could pet a fucking sheep. Oh, great. Pet a fucking sheep and get some eggs. Get some fresh eggs. So we showed up, and it was the road, like, it was off, no paved road.
Arkansas.
We went into a parallel universe. Full of serial killers. We, so we got off the main road, and I started losing reception, if you remember.
Oh, it was done.
All our phones were dying, and we got off this paved road, and then we got to because GPS, even if you have no cell phone reception, it'll still work, and won't give you, like, traffic
here
updates
it
and
didn't.
stuff like that. It did, though. It did.
Slightly.
So we got to the point, and then we I think we saw the sign that said that the camp that it was supposed to be. So we went down this, like, one lane, not
narrow,
one lane each
extremely
side,
narrow.
but literally one lane. Like, if you want to go up, you gotta wait for the person to go down. If you want to go down, you gotta wait for this person to go up.
And it's kind of windy.
It was windy. So sometimes I get stubborn. She can vouch for that. So I was like, we're gonna do this. Like, let's figure this out. So we went down this long, winding road, and it was super sketchy. Like, there was, like, broken barbed wire fence and stuff like that.
You guys know the movie, The Hills Have Eyes?
I don't know. There might be a movie called The Walls Have Eyes.
Where
but
we
The
go
Hills
to
Have Eyes.
where we go to park where we think we're supposed to be. It just reminded me of what's Leatherface, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Literally, like,
It was creepy.
you can feel that people are fucking watching you. There's a bunch of chickens running around, so of course Clementine wants to get out of the car.
Yeah, she was all about it.
It was hot and humid that day because it was
Yeah.
during the summer. You were like, okay, I'm gonna go. I think we're supposed to go down this little gate. You guys wait here. Let me make sure. And what did that sign say?
So I got up to so I was like,
I can't. I was so mad at you.
I got up to the door because I was determined. But it was like, this is a little weird, but it's gonna be fantastic. We're gonna open up the doors and there's gonna be, like, goats smiling at us and singing. It's gonna be like the Splash Mountain before the drop. Like, all the animals are gonna be singing. It's gonna be wonderful. So I walked up to what I thought was the main house. It might have been, like, the front for the murder house. I walked up to the main door, and it said, I forget what it said, but I think it said something along the lines of, keep your clothing, leave clothing off beyond this door, or something like that.
Yes. Yep. That's
So
what it
not
said.
only was it apparently, I'm gonna say it was it a serial killer camp? It was also a nudist serial killer camp. So
Yeah, Bring your
Where did that
naked
go?
4-year-old, because I mean, this is the kind of camp that, you know. And the one thing
But
before,
they did have fresh eggs in the morning.
well, we didn't stay to find out because I
And
would have.
human bacon.
He was so determined to stay, and
I
I
was
was
not.
like, and
No.
I was like, Mama Bear. Like, I feel like if it was just me and him, we'd be like, yeah,
That's
let's
revisionist
like.
history.
But with now that I have a child, I'm like, fuck this. I'm getting a vibe. I don't think so. So he goes down. And he's exploring, trying to find these people to check in or whatever the fuck we're supposed to do. And meanwhile, Clementine wants to get out and she wants to see the animals. And guess who fucking takes his car keys with him? Not that I would have left him there if anything were to happen. Maybe, possibly.
You should have. If something went down,
But we're
you should
sitting
have.
in the car and we're boiling. So we kind of have to get out. So I'm like, oh, let's go see the chickens. And I'm thinking like, oh my God, 2 females. We're stuck out here alone. I'm calling for you. There's nobody. There's houses, there's cars. There's nobody coming out. They're just like watching us like fucking gremlins. And I'm just like, fuck. I go, this is not how I want to die. And I'm just thinking in my head like an escape plan, okay? I have a 4-year-old. There's no way I can run with her up this like dirt road hill. Like I can't lock us in the car because we will die from the heat. Like we're gonna die. Like that's all I'm thinking. It seemed like you were gone eternity. He finally comes back. He's like, well, let's just go and get reception and call him. I go, no. Like after this, there's no way. I don't care if this is like.
I don't remember that happening.
And I'm like, we're leaving. Like, we're not coming back. Like, we're already charged, and we're like, I don't fucking take our money. Take our money. I don't fucking care. I don't want fucking, like, some guy to run out with a fucking skin mask of his last victim. Like, that's how.
That would have been me, by the way. That skin mask would have been me.
Like,
fresh on the scene.
No. Like, it was the craziest thing. And I think even even before we got there, I already felt uneasy. Like, the one thing I didn't like is that I liked that it was like, oh, kumbaya, yeah, run with the goats and there's fresh eggs. But it specifically said we have a meal together with the owners. And I'm like, if I'm paying to camp on your land, like, I don't want to eat with you. I mean, maybe I will.
Well, you'd be eating other people, so.
And I just, like, that's what was on number one. I was like, I want to have a relaxing vacation and kind of see. I didn't want to feel forced, and I really didn't like that it said we all eat together.
Well, we ended up staying at a Best Western in the middle, or I don't even remember what fucking town in Oregon.
And it was fucked up because we
And
bought
had
all this new camping stuff.
Yeah, but we had Domino's. It was fun.
Yeah. It was alright.
Check it out, Best Western, somewhere in the middle of Oregon.
Anyways, all I
If
can
you're
say
there.
is don't, because I was like, what, an hour away from what part of Oregon? The
Fuck if I know.
hipster, no, the hipster part.
Portland?
Yeah, it was like, I want to say like an hour away from Portland. Don't camp in Oregon. Don't do it.
Okay.
Save your life.
Here's the thing, is that, I'm sorry, I'm gonna do this. Here's the thing. I want to let people know, because we've already offended Arkansas. Oregon is a lovely place to camp. There's a lot of actually beautiful beach area. There's a lot of beautiful forest area in Oregon area. Just be mindful that I think Oregon has per capita the most amount of serial killers, because you can get away with it pretty easily there. So it's a lovely place to camp. Lovely place. There's a lot of, Oregon is gorgeous, and Portland's actually a great town.
But
We love
some
Portland.
people might have came from Arkansas and they live there now and they like those dirt roads. And they might kill you.
So you're saying, okay. Anyways, parallel universes. Do you have any more stories about parallel universes other than our possible camping trip in Oregon?
Oh my
Could have
gosh.
ended with our death. That could have been a parallel. If I would have made the choice, because we didn't knock on that door, parallel universe. What if somehow
I'm already freaking out thinking about it.
I knocked on that door, we got murdered, but we're living our universe that's the truth that we didn't get murdered.
But in another parallel, we did.
We did. For sure.
Oh my god.
The choice is us getting murdered. Can you imagine how many
sixth sense.
in that scenario of like there's so let's expound on the wild theory that every choice creates 2 different parallel universes. How many universes are cut short by us dying? Like, how many times do you think in a parallel universe either one of us have either been murdered or...
Well, if you go back to like Hinduism, like basically every time you die, it's like you reliving your life to be the best version of yourself. So you're not quitting until you get it right. And then I guess once you get it right, that's when you just become energy and
hey,
that's it.
As far as I'm concerned, I got it right when I met you. So this is my universe. So do you have any other stories?
Oh my gosh. Hey.
I'm checking your notes.
No, that's just long. I write a lot.
What's your other notes?
Let's see. Do I have any other stories?
I don't know.
Like there's so many. I'm trying to think of so many.
Oh, there's so many parallel universe stories that are just swimming in my head. Just in case people didn't know that we're recording from California, we're gonna really hammer it home. There's so many stories.
Yeah, so there was this one just came to mind. So there was this
surfing one day.
He probably thinks that it's urban legend because you think everything's urban legends and you don't believe in anything because you're too skeptical of everything.
No, I believe in stuff.
So you believe in love?
I do. That's one thing I believe in. I
got something to say about it, and it goes something like this.
God damn it.
Just kidding. So this one was like of this boy, a family member had died.
Once
but kind of like a...
There was this boy who...
Are you done?
I don't know.
And so the mom kept talking about this relative. Oh, June's coming to visit, whatever, and he was kind of like, thought it was a joke at first, and then she kept going on with it, and the mom was like, oh no, she's really coming to dinner, whatever. And I think it was like a distant relative, like where he didn't go to the funeral, but like this person was deceased. But when she was like, no, she's coming to dinner tonight, and then he said it back to her like, she's dead, right? And then the mom was kind of like almost thought he was joking, but then he kept going with it, and then like the same with the dad, like they were just kind of like getting offended that their son was like no, June's coming to dinner, and then
June came to dinner,
and then like the parallel whatever.
So wait, hold on. So they thought that this guy June was part of the parallel universe. Was there an actual Aunt June?
He thinks that it was like this distant relative.
Like, of course that guy thinks. He thinks that dead people are coming to his dinner party.
Maybe somebody entered the parallel universe. That would be
fucking Danny Elfman over here. Why does he think that?
Dead Man's Party?
That's a reference. Good job.
Yeah,
Follow along if you're at home. If you're on the road, don't follow along. It's dangerous.
Unless it's a dirt road.
Freshly paved. Clearly, there's nobody living there.
But yeah, I could go on. There's
4 years ago.
There's so many stories like of where there was this guy that got hit by this car, like head-on collision. Next thing he knows, the ambulance is taken away and he flatlines. Mm-hmm. But then he wakes up, and it's right before this car hits him again. And this time, he gets hit head-on again, and
poor fucker.
And then he goes into the ambulance just like he did the first time, but this time he doesn't flatline. So it's like, again, like the parallel universe. Like he died in the other parallel, but he didn't die in this parallel. So he thinks he just like tapped into his other parallel.
That guy just every universe in every parallel universe I'm fucking getting hit. What if that's just the misery of like you keep hopping universes and you keep running into shit because you're not meant to be on this earth. Oh God.
Oh man, I don't know. There's another one of like these 4 girls that I don't know where they're going, but it's like a road trip. God, like me and my friends.
Let's go to Arkansas. Like there's no paved roads. It's wonderful.
We never had that experience. We just went to TJ and got lost, and yeah.
Oh, TJ. Big ups.
But anyway, so these girls, I don't know where they're going, whatever. But they were going somewhere, and they were driving, and then all of a sudden this car came up behind them, and it was like a dome-shaped car, and it had like bright headlights, and they said there were like these humanoids in the car, but looked different than them, and they were like speeding after, like trying to catch them. And then when they finally like turn around to go back the other way, when they explain, you know, to the police, you know, what had happened or whatever, I guess like when they tried to find that road that they took, that didn't exist. And it was 4 of them said, I mean, maybe they were on a good acid trip, you know. I don't recall.
They want some good shit. Good shit.
But yeah, if you guys want like more info about like some of these stories, we can always post it on our Insta.
We'll post it on our Insta for sure. So I think we're gonna wrap this thing up because I think that we've gone. I think my head is swimming through all this quantum physics and all this.
Yeah, I hope that we like opened your guys' mind to this, because it's like, as much as it's like hard to like fathom and completely understand quantum physics, like it's almost like a feeling that I know that it exists.
Well,
I
here's
just
the thing
wish
too,
I could
is
evolve my mind to understand.
Yeah, I think that I think that if nothing else, this NASA research project in the paper that came out of it and all that, on all the responses, shows us that we don't fucking know shit. Like, even though we think we have a decent, we're getting a better grasp on
science changes every day. Like when they think they knew something, like find something else, it's like, oh, just kidding, this is actually it.
Yeah, it's changing, and this just opens up the possibility that we don't fucking know, and who knows how many of these stories can be validated and stuff like that. But the fact of the matter is that everything is possible, and it, you know, that our understanding of everything is fluid. So it's a great thing for sure. Mm-hmm. Well, this has been ExtraNormal Podcast. You can find us at extranormalpodcast@gmail.com. You can find us on Instagram at ExtraNormal Podcast. A lot of the stuff that's like visual that we reference, for those of you listening to audio and stuff like that, you can look it up. Like when we talk about dolls and all that stuff, you can look up how just how fucked up they are. You can find us there. You can find us at ExtraNormalP on Twitter. You can email us if you have any experiences with any kind of creepy ass parallel universe stuff. Or,
if you want to like email us, and we can actually do like a live either video chat with you, or we could do a phone call and actually have you be a guest speaker on our show.
Yeah, and if you have any ideas for topics or anything, like we are, the door is open. We love any insight. We love any kind of feedback. We love the talk and all that stuff. I like being berated for me being a little bit wary of these stuff. Like, that's always fun for me. Love it. So where can we find you, Brianna? I'm
at Darling Dolly with a 0, not an O. And actually I'm at, also the Dollhouse Sparkles, where I make my merch. But we're soon going to have a link on our ExtraNormal podcast where you can buy some merch. We're going to have some t-shirts. We're going to have some of the cool alien, ExtraNormal stuff going on up there too, so it's a little bit easier for you to find us. Yeah, for sure. 100%. Well, thank you for listening. I always say, be friends of everybody in parallel universes.